Welcome back. So today's ring is special. As you can see from the title, this is the very first ring that I have made in my house since I got it. I got this bench set up, I got my garage cleaned, I have my tools in a nice place. I even made extra storage that you can see ever so slightly below my bench. We'll do a nice garage tour now that it's been cleaned and pretty. But I'm making the first ring that I have made since moving in with tools that have never been bolted to their respective surfaces. This Pepe rolling mill, I forgot the word for it, my god, is bolted directly to the bench. It has more power, I can put more power into it. It's awesome. However, if you see what's happening right now, I am shaking my entire bench. The whole thing. So I'm taking lighter passes when I'm just trying to make a bronze ring a half round wire. And one thing that this teaches me is that I can't ignore this problem. This problem will only get worse until my entire bench setup implodes on itself. So this was a good ring to make. I even have to brace the entirety of the bench and everything on it so that I don't catastrophically destroy anything too soon. It would devastate me if this thing collapsed. But that being said, made a round wire a half round wire, and bronze is significantly more difficult to work with than copper, brass, or silver. I would even challenge you that annealing it is significantly harder than any of the other non-ferrous metals. There's a reason why there was a Bronze Age is something that I tell anybody that wants a bronze ring. That is tough. I digress. I'm taking off the little burr that this process made, and I forgot that I like to run it through the flat side for just the smallest pass, just to give it a flat on the inside. I rather like how comfortable that is, but I'm months out of practice at this point, and just kind of happy to be working at my bench. I tried to finish this entire ring during lunch, and I failed miserably. Being out of practice and recording something, as it turns out, will slow you down significantly. But better than nothing, I do try to anneal this bronze. And I'm going to say it's probably only 30% successful, and 30% is better than nothing. So I left my light on because I was a fool. It's much better to be able to see the color get to a nice dull red when you're doing copper, silver, or brass. Literally anything except for bronze. But I make it just a little bit softer, and I take it over to another tool that's been bolted to my bench, which is a Pepe ring bender. And I'm convinced that tilt is something that is built into the tool on purpose, because it allows the ring to sort of coil instead of just go flat into itself. But that's just me theorizing. I drop that little scrap of wood onto the ground, naturally. But with how tough bronze is, this bender makes it much easier. I'm still shaking the entire bench just using this little guy. So the next time that you see this bench being used, that will be fixed. I am doing voiceover for this from the future. One, you can see how springy it got. Just that little bit of bending work hardened the entire thing quite a bit. But I am talking from the future. This was done easily over a month and a half ago, if not more. But that being said, I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm making a ring. I don't know why story time is so much more interesting to me right now. I made a ring, and now I have to cut it to make some sides flush. You remember that thing I said about work hardening? Well, I'm pretty sure I destroyed most of the teeth on this jeweler saw blade because, try as I might, all I'm doing is making very, very minimal headway into this ring. Like, this is absurd. And I even try unsafe methods, like this. Leaning the saw closer to my finger. I do not hurt myself, I promise. I've promised from the beginning I will not show me hurting me. But this is so frustrating that I almost intentionally start doing things that I think would make cutting it easier regardless of the consequences. This is stupid, don't do it. Let's say I start using the blade correctly right now because I've been using it wrong this whole time. There goes a gouge in my finger that's going to take a week and a half to heal. So I do something I've never done, which is I clamped a ring to my bench pen because I thought that I would be able to make some progress. Almost no progress. And I'm making you watch as much of it as possible because I want you to suffer with me. Speed doesn't do it. The blade doesn't break. It's getting warm. Like, this is me fighting a losing battle. I've never used a blade so long that it stopped being sharp enough to use. I've always snapped them first. So this is new to me. This is a new problem for me. My vise being bolted down to the bench, however, is the bee's knees. It's absolutely the best. Cannot recommend it enough. I finally give up. I switch blades. I'm about to wax the blade. Like the whole 9 yards. Does it work? Yes, it does. We finally go and we ting this. And then we ting the bottom. And that's it. Change your blades. It was that all along. So I bent it and sort of got the two bits to touch. And since you are focused on the bench instead of what's going on, I'm just cutting through the saw cut that I already made to make the two pieces more flat to one another. I'm trying to get better at that because it's a good technique to be able to use. But now the two pieces butt up against each other nicely, and all I have to do is sort of spring it so that it stays in place. And with the difficulty that it is to bend bronze, I have little leather jaws I have little leather covers inside of my vise jaws, and I bend it further into itself so it makes itself into a spring so that it holds against itself when you're trying to solder. Fun fact, bronze gets very, very brittle if you try to squeeze it together when you're soldering, and it will crumble. I have almost set my bench on fire like that before. I don't intend to ever do anything that stupid again. I will do other stupid things. I will not do that. So a little dab of soldered the wrong way for jewelry. My alarm's going off because it is time to go back to work. And we're back from work. One of these days, I'm going to do this entire process in real time with no cuts. And you'll get a terrible video angle that you'll see, but you'll see the whole thing and how long it takes for me to switch between stuff. This being the first ring coming back from a long sort of break and many, many, many other things on my mind, I would say that this was a really good exercise to sort of remember the steps with a more difficult material. And it's the first ring that I've made since getting my Fordham set up. And I'm super, super happy with every single thing about it. Now, I kind of did promise that I would show you me using this thing incorrectly for years to come. And I'm not entirely sure I'm using the stone bit correctly, but it's doing it's doing a job. It is doing a nice, subtle removal of material. It leaves a perfectly stoned finish, which is really cool. Perfectly stoned for me. I don't know what that means, but it's nice. The hand file method that I'm used to using is a bit faster. It's a little bit more rough on my hands, but this is more gentle and it is slower, which patience I do find to be a very important thing when you're making anything that needs to feel or be precise. Don't rush stuff. But do it efficiently. Anyway, I'm now cleaning up the sort of inside solder joint. And this is something I would hate to make you suffer through in real time, but I would make you suffer through this in real time. I'm not gonna lie. One of these days, we'll do a real-time ring build, or I'll just stream it and you can see how long it takes for me to make any given ring on any given day. But on the inside there, you can see the results of cleaning up that joint. Not too shabby. And the outside result, if you can see it in the shadow there, that little darkish line is where the copper solder was used. And the copper solder is a little bit more brittle than other solders. I've been having worse and worse luck with it the more I use it. I have been enjoying silver solder more, even though it leaves a bright silvery streak. Kind of like it. Now, I'm going straight from a stone finish to this little red Scotch Brite sort of buff. And it does a decent job. It gets out the sort of stone texture. But I want to see if I can go from the red scrub brush to shaft lubricant to white polish compound. I don't use shaft lubricant. I just put some platinum white polish on, and I see if I can go from red scrub brush to white polish and see what the resulting finish looks like. And while I don't know if it's correct, and the ring is getting super hot while I'm buffing it in my stupid hands, it does give me something that I would say is a polished ring. It could be shinier. Some of that's due to the material, some of that's due to me not going through the grits of the scrub brushes, or even finer and finer sandpapers. Skipping all those extra steps to give me sort of this finish that I get here. I can live with that. I can live with that as a base, and then I could polish that even more later. But I'm pretty pleased with how that worked out. It could go a little bit harder. Just a little bit more. Why not? Negligible to you, but to me, I cleaned up my solder joint just a touch. I feel pretty good about it. Nice and shiny. But we still have 5 more minutes of video. Yeah, I gotta hit it with a hammer. By the way, this bronze ring is huge already. What I'm about to do is just going to make it larger, and it is unwearable by me because it is too big. But let me just describe to you you know what? I'll show you what a permanent decision looks like in real time. My nice bench. And I need somewhere to jam my mandrel into. This is not supposed to be innuendo. but I need to put the mandrel into a hole so that I can brace against it and use it sort of as a hammering surface. Used to, this was done inside of a 2x2 or a 4x4 that I had a little hole drilled into, but I have no regrets. This was a good decision. And as I beat the texture into this ring, you can see it actively getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I think I take it from a 13 to a 14 just from this process, which makes it harder and harder. It makes it hard for me to really nail down how big a ring I need to make to hammer the texture in such a way that I get it to the correct size, but texture all around the ring. Still, I like the effect. I also really love that hammer, and I picked that hammer out because it emulates sort of the texture and style of the Silvermeister guy, who I have mentioned multiple times at this point. I need to flatten this ring out horizontally. I apologize to your ears and to your patience with my bullshit, but here we are. It's got just a little bit of wiggle, and we can take that out with a little bit of hammering. Just a touch of hammering. It's fine. It's fine for what we're doing. And then texturing the outside part of the ring here, I do really like this. I think that there's a lot of room to experiment with how this texture is applied, and with how much precision or how little precision, just to get both randomness or like an unsettling unity or sameness, uniformity to that texture. I think that would be an interesting thing to try and figure out. One more flattening whack, and we're 99% of the way there. Doing this does create a little burr on the top, and I know I said this in the last video, I said this in the last ring video that was almost exactly like this ring, but it's not fun to scratch yourself in the face with jewelry, and it shouldn't hurt you. And with this fancy Fordham tool, I think that I can take care of two birds with one stone. Make the bird just a little bit less harsh, and polish up the texture. The texture of the hammer ring, or the texture of the texturing hammer, has just a little bit of a matte finish to it. So this is just buffing that texture, and it kind of attacks the burr. I think in the future I prefer to file that burr down and just have that be a part of the aesthetic of the ring. But this special little ring right here is the first one that I've made. It is less fit for humans to wear, probably more fit for somebody to call it's precious and then never put on. Yeah. One, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy. I hope you enjoy these videos. I enjoy making them. I hope you enjoy watching them. If you do the like and subscribe thing, it helps me out. I'm trying to hit monetization by 2022. Is it a silly goal? Kinda. Does it matter? Not really. I really just like making these videos. It'd be neat if the videos could fund themselves, but it's not necessary. I'll be doing this for what I feel like is a long, long time. Thank you for watching. I hope you like the rings. One day, I will have them for sale somewhere, somehow. Go make something, and be good to yourself. Bye.